Letitia James is in serious hot water right now. The Democrat Party doesn't want her in her spot for AG. Meanwhile, you've got Adam Schiff, who looks to be, per my sources, next in line for an indictment. Things are really heating up, you guys. This is big stuff, big stuff. I've got new documents, including Letitia's second home rider that just came out. And I'm telling you, she's in trouble because she's saying one thing and then filing as another in order to get a better mortgage rate. We are all over this story as Letitia prepares to resign from her position as Attorney General of New York. Meanwhile, boy, oh boy, I mean, one thing after another. You got FBI trouble, shall we say. Kash, Patel, Dan Bongino exposing this explosive story. Unbelievable. We are going to tell you all about it, not to mention Burisma. For goodness sakes, Burisma, the CIA knew all about Burisma, but apparently Joe Biden squashed it. And then what's the deal? Trump gets upstaged by Maria Corina Machado out of Venezuela for the Nobel Peace Prize. Let me just tell you, it's not over yet. It is not over yet. He's done some really amazing stuff. And so is his wife, by the way. Check out Melania Trump and the diplomacy that she's employing, working with Vladimir Putin to help the children of Ukraine. Meanwhile, hey, big news. Guess what?
In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day. Okay.
Yes. I can applaud for that. Columbus Day is back, baby. Big show today, big show. Letitia James right now in the hot seat as more and more Democrats think she should resign from her position. Her career is on the line. You know, I think back to Letitia. Boy, she looked really happy there in that Labor Day parade. Just about a month ago. A month and change out there in the streets of New York, right by the porta potties, dancing away. They said, here is your Attorney General, one Letitia James. And well, nobody seemed to really care now, did they? Well, I mean, she did have the audience of the porta potties. How fitting and poetic that seems to be. Dancing away in all her glory. There, the Attorney General.
Make some noise for your Attorney General, Miss James.
Oh, Miss James. No, nobody's waving. Nobody cares. You're just there dancing by yourself right alongside the porta potties. Kind of fitting. Anyway, here's the news. You know it already. Letitia James has been indicted basically for a couple of big things here, which she could face up to 30 years with. 30 years in prison, okay? Because she lied on her financial documents and she's allegedly guilty of mortgage fraud. So here's the new documents that just came out. Literally, as I came to air, okay? So just moments ago, we got this in. Bombshell documents, really, really damning for Letitia, that puts her in the position of really persona non grata among the Democrats and the Democrat Party in New York. She's no longer of use to Kathy Hochul or any of the rest of them. Believe me. And this is why. So basically, she signed a document saying that the borrower will maintain exclusive control over the occupancy of the property, including short-term rentals, and will not subject the property to time-sharing or other shared ownership arrangements. It goes on. The borrower will keep the property available primarily as a residence for borrower's personal use and for the enjoyment of the borrower for at least a year after the date of the second home rider. But there's no indication that Letitia James ever used this property, one of them anyway, as a second home. She had a couple of them in Virginia. But yet she did this, and in doing so got a 0.815, in other words, 0.8% higher, she avoided an 0.8% higher loan rate, which allowed her to save $17,837 and pocket $3,288 in seller credits. It's amazing that somebody would do this, knowing that she has such a big position, right? And that she's in a political position. Here's the document right here. Okay, so we're talking about a couple of homes here. She had two in Virginia, one of which she reportedly on her documentation said this was her primary residence. Now, if it's your primary residence, we've been through it, right? That comes with a lower mortgage rate than if it were, say, a secondary home. And it comes with a lower mortgage rate than, say, if it were a rental income. Meanwhile, and we'll go right down the list here, if you go to your secondary, not your primary home, but your secondary vacation home, you're going to get a different rate than if it is an investment property. So the investment property is going to cost you the most. Okay, you're going to have to pay a lot. So what did she do on the second house? Per this documentation, again, just coming out right now, explosive stuff. She actually tried to say that the other house was not an investment property, but her personal, secondary home. So per the first one, which she tells us was a clerical error, it was her primary residence. And then the second one, she's signing off here. Look at this. This thing is documented to be August 2020, where she's signing up for a loan. And she's saying, this is my secondary residence. Okay, we know that she actually didn't live in either. In fact, when you look at it, it really seems to be that she was using these as rental incomes, right? I mean, let's just call it what it is. But we'll let her have her day in court. But nonetheless, I want to show you some tape the Daily Caller News Foundation got a few months back when they went and knocked at the doors of these two homes in Virginia for the New York Attorney General. Watch.
Hi there. I'm a reporter with the Daily Caller News Foundation.
Goodbye. You're trespassing.
I'm sorry.
Trespassing. My kids are around here.
I understand. We mean no trouble. We're just curious who the occupants of the home are,
Don't worry about who's occupants. That's none of your business.
Well, there are connections. There are connections to New York Attorney General Letitia James.
That doesn't matter. You're trespassing.
Are you related to Letitia James?
Do you know her?
You're trespassing. Go in the house.
Do you know Letitia James? No? Okay.
You're trespassing.
No comment. Thank you,
Don't
ma'am.
come up to my house no more.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a good one.
It's gonna be fine.
Be well. Be well. Car sound.
There's a car parked in the driveway.
Hello there, ma'am.
No comment, you're trespassing.
No comment?
Yeah, you're trespassing.
Okay, well, who lives here?
You're trespassing.
Who lives here, ma'am?
No comment.
No comment. Okay.
No comment, no comment. But in other words, I don't think that was Letitia, right? In other words, she wasn't the one living there. I think that we can make that summation pretty easily. So if Letitia wasn't there, who exactly is living there? Is that a rental income? If it's a rental income, guess what? It needed to be classified as a rental income, not as a primary home, not as a secondary vacation home. She's in serious, major trouble. I mean, here's her response. Well, before we get to her response, maybe we should outline with Bill Pulte on with my friend Maria just a few months back as these charges were revealed. And he explained one of them, right? One of the homes where she was saying, this is my primary residence. And now we have the news here today that it wasn't just one, but the other one she was calling her vacation home instead of an income property. Here is Bill Pulte, who runs the FHFA, who is the one who referred all of this to Pam Bondi and the DOJ, with Lindsay Halligan bringing this forward herself, getting a grand jury indictment of one Letitia James.
Recommended that the DOJ investigate New York Attorney General Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud. The AG, Letitia James, has responded. We don't have the video, but here's the quote. "This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia resident. And prior to that, I indicated to the mortgage broker that, in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be. They just took the power of attorney and they're using that as a basis for enforcement of their investigation." Bill, do you know why she said she was a resident of Virginia on the power of attorney, if in fact she wasn't?
Well, I know that we are mortgage experts, and we only refer things that we think are mortgage fraud, and we stand 100% behind the letter. I'll let the letter speak for itself. I do know, and I have seen some reports from that subject, from that subject's criminal defense lawyer, saying certain things. I'll leave it to the DOJ to correct various things. But again, when we see mortgage fraud, we are going to report it. When we see mortgage fraud, we are going to prosecute it within the confines of our duties. And we are not going to be intimidated by a subject's criminal defense lawyer. We are not going to be intimidated by a politician or just because you have an Esquire behind your name. We are not going to be intimidated by people. If we see mortgage fraud, we're going to do something about it. And I think that you're going to see us be taking this on in a big way. Mortgage fraud is a big problem. These companies are safe and sound, but where we see it, we are going to do something about it.
Boom, and sure, he did. He referred it to Pam Bondi, who then, with the Eastern Virginia office of the DOJ, guess what? The U.S. Attorney's Office bringing this one forward. So the new development, however, is Take a look at this, the second home rider. Okay, the second home rider, which allowed for her to get a mortgage rate that was 0.815%. So let's call it 0.8% cheaper. I mean, that's a big deal. That's nearly a point off your mortgage, right? So she's out there. I mean, what a scumbag thing to do. She's telling everybody, she's telling the bank, she's filing paperwork saying, I am using this as my secondary home. Well, meanwhile, with the other home saying this is going to be my primary home. Oh no, that's just a clerical error, just a clerical error. I'm having kind of a problem with all these clerical errors now. Are you not having a problem with them? I mean, the first house, that was just the power of attorney. Power of attorney screwed up. I mean, sorry, Letitia, you are an attorney. Then the second home rider, we got some real questions on this because this is the second one, okay? She's trying to say her second home in Virginia is actually her vacation home, and yet we're learning that she was renting it out. Okay, that wasn't a vacation home. That was what you call an income property. And then we know that she lied on the loan application for the place, the brownstone in New York City, right? Where it was actually, you could get a better deal if you said you had 4 units instead of 5. And so she did that. And then, I mean, it's not over yet, right? I mean, think about Daddy. I mean, this is Ilhan Omar style. I mean, she's claiming that she's the wife on a mortgage application from like the late 80s. I'm like, whoa, I mean, this is a pattern if I ever saw one. So Letitia is in a lot of trouble. This is one of those houses, okay? This is the 3-bedroom, 1-bath property. She said this was her second home in those loan documents, but it turns out that it was also disclosed in a second financial disclosure that same time period, because she was getting the mortgage in 2020. Don't forget, this was what was signed in 2020. This is the house that she was signing for. And then she went forward in a financial disclosure and said that this was an income property. So which was it, Letitia? I have a feeling it was an income property. That way you got a better deal on your loan. And this is the same lady, mind you, who put this one out in February 16th, 2024, because she was so proud of that judgment that she was getting against Donald Trump. Quote, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. Woo! You know, I couldn't have said it better myself. How about that? Letitia James, I really couldn't have. You said it all right then and there. That's all we need to know. In other words, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage, and if they did, our government would throw the book at them. Mind you, that's exactly what they're doing to you, Letitia James. You were getting the book thrown at you, and guess what? You're facing up to 30 years in prison. How's that, Tishy? Tishy baby's not too happy. This is what she's saying.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
Was it really your job? Was it really your job, or was it your political vendetta? Was that the way that you got elected? Because, you know, when I think back on it, we heard a lot from you, did we not? I mean, we heard Letitia James going after Donald Trump every single chance she could get. Every single chance she could get. And she's promised to continue doing much more of the same.
I don't know about you. It's that stone of hope that inspires me each and every day. And listen, faith and fear can never share the same space. And so I'm covered by the blood. And I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. You can come after me, but no enemy, nothing formed against me will perish. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me.
Except, of course, the DOJ. And the lies that you allegedly made regarding 2 properties in Virginia. We haven't even gotten to New York. We haven't even gotten to the violation of civil rights because the DOJ is looking into that as well. And it's pretty clear she had a motive. She had a vendetta. And right now, the polls are sinking fast. Everybody wants her out. I'm going to get to that. But don't forget exactly what she did, what she was trying to do, right?
He's called me venomous.
We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City.
He's called me disgraceful.
Of the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president and an illegitimate member of the United States Supreme Court.
He's called me radical.
Listen, we know he's crazy. We know he doesn't have a sound mind. We know he's out of control. We know he's losing it. We know his days are numbered and we will come together.
He's called me a racist.
We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male.
What a winner she is, right? I'm kind of wondering how long she's really going to make it now. Because this is bad, okay? You've got a really bad scenario here. Not even CNN is willing to defend her. I mean, I think this is rather telling. When Anderson Cooper is coming out against you there in New York, Letitia James, your days may just be numbered after all. Yeah, let's watch Anderson Cooper saying, you know, maybe she didn't have the right approach. Maybe this is payback. Maybe she deserves it.
The system is not supposed to work.
Jeff, I mean, according to PolitiFact, the day after she was elected in 2018, Letitia James was asked by a community activist if she was going to sue President Trump, and she replied, quote, "Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally." I mean, that's not a great look for somebody who has just been elected or just been campaigning, who hasn't even looked, I guess, at deeply at any evidence.
Well, that's, you know, that we live in a system where attorneys general and district attorneys in the United States, unlike almost any other country, are elected officials, are politicians. So they run for office making political statements. That's how our system works. It's not pretty. I don't think it's a great system.
This is interesting. This is the guy who, by the way, had a bit of an indiscretion, shall we say, on a Zoom call there at CNN. But hey, this is CNN. They hired him back. He's their, he must be cheap. He's their legal analyst, Jeffrey Toobin, and he's making excuses. Anderson's making the point that, you know, this lady kind of did some bad stuff, right? Maybe she shouldn't have been out there campaigning every day against Donald Trump before she had even seen any of the evidence. And he's like, oh, but it's just the way the system works. Okay, if it works that way, buddy boy, then guess what? It is payback time. It shouldn't work that way. But if you're claiming it works that way, and this is what she was entitled to do, and she was perfectly fine to do it, then I guess we really do have a problem, a big problem.
But there's nothing uncommon about it. The other point to make, though, is just because she made inappropriate comments, that doesn't mean she should get indicted for fraud years later. I mean, that's
unless, of course, she actually committed the fraud. Okay, like it's amazing how they'll try and slip one through right under the rug, right? We're supposed to excuse Letitia James. Letitia James gets to go and get 0.8% off of her mortgage rate because she's allowed, whereas the rest of the population is not, to declare her secondary home, rather, her investment property as her secondary home, or her other investment property as her primary residence. I mean, this woman is bad news. She's flat out lying. Again, she's the one who signed the records. We showed you, borrower will keep property available primarily as a residence for the borrower's personal use. She signed it, okay? Donald Trump didn't sign that. Letitia James signed that. Letitia James is done. By her own words, she is done. There simply cannot be different rules for different people, and that goes for you, Tishy baby. So resign now. Everybody wants you to. Just look at the handwriting on the wall. I mean, nobody wants her, okay? Nobody wants her because she was so vicious. She was so bad. She is now looking at 30 years in prison. Kind of different from those days when she was gloating about how she was going to take Donald Trump down and bankrupt him and take all of his properties, including Trump Tower, right? Yeah, she was chomping at the bit to do that.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Ba-dum-bum. Okay? She has no more money. She's completely out of cash. She's totally desperate. I mean, here's the article. We've talked about this. In Gothamist magazine or newspaper, whatever it is, they're talking about how she's now going to the Legal Defense Fund and she's got a handout begging for cash there. And maybe, some deep-pocketed billionaires will come along and help her out because the rules are apparently different and you can give as much money as you want. So she's got Abby Lowell, who's, interestingly enough, Hunter Biden's former attorney out there stumping for her, trying to get money out of the Legal Defense Fund to pay his legal bills. All while everybody is starting to say enough is enough. Everybody, just look at where her polls were even back in May. This is unbelievable. This is an article that was written in City Journal back in May saying Letitia's campaign is on the ropes. New York's incumbent attorney general faces headwinds in her re-election bid. This is separate from the fact that, now she's been indicted by a grand jury for criminal crimes, mortgage fraud, lying to financial institutions. And so they were already pointing out that New York was going increasingly what? Increasingly red. Yes, New York getting some sense, believe it or not. Even New York City, it's amazing. In 2024, Donald Trump saw his biggest vote share improvement in New York State. He won a higher percentage of the vote in New York City than any Republican candidate since George H.W. Bush. The Republican even saw, they wrote, huge vote total gains in the still overwhelmingly Democratic bureaus of Brooklyn and Queens in 2024. I'm telling you, he's going to take it. You just watch. He can't run again, but you know. Oh, the GOP is coming for all these blue areas, and they're coming fast. It's approaching fast, and the Democrats don't know what to do. But I'll tell you, they don't want Letitia's baggage right about now. No way, Jose. Pun intended. Okay, so here we go. Recent polls confirm that New York does hold a relatively unfavorable view of the incumbent attorney general. A Siena College Research Institute poll. You guys and I, we went through this, remember? It showed how bad she was doing, like worse than Chuck Schumer, and he's doing pretty bad. And so she was kind of just a little bit more favorable to Hochul, but this was back in May. This was before she was indicted. This is before we knew what she was allegedly up to. So, wow. Now nobody wants her because she's tanking everybody, which is why, yes, you're starting to see the media turn on her. You're starting to see CNN in some pockets turn on her, but not everywhere, because, she still has her little friends over at MSNBC with a bunch of delusional idiots that say stuff like this.
So let's talk about how we got here, because you know how this works, Anthony.
I do.
And in both this case and the case against James Comey, what the DOJ has said is the facts and the law were followed. They did things by the book. But when it comes to the actual mechanics of pursuing evidence and bringing charges,
right.
Is that true? Was this handled like any other case you know?
No, it wasn't. But let me say first, this week, this is a watershed moment in American history. Not since Watergate, Chris, have we seen a president weaponize the Justice Department to go after his political rivals.
Wait a second. I think we just saw it. Actually, where were you the last 4 years? What do you think just happened? The last 8 years, thank you very much. Shifty Shift. Oh, he's in trouble. Wait till we get to that, because he is next. I told you. Don't ever doubt me, okay? Adam Schiff, He's coming. And I have this on pretty good sourcing, all right? Adam Schiff is next in the works. Ladies and gentlemen, he ought to be really nervous right about now. But this idiot is trying to pretend like what? The last 8 years didn't happen? 31 indictments against Donald Trump didn't happen? The attempt to try and bankrupt him via Letitia James didn't happen? The attempt to try and put him in jail in Fulton County, Georgia with Fannie Willis, that didn't happen? Alvin Bragg didn't happen? Are you kidding me?
Now, to your question, typically, if I can take you inside DOJ for a moment, typically when career prosecutors decline to bring a case, Charles knows this, you have to, according to the Justice Manual, which is like the DOJ Bible, you have to have enough evidence to obtain and sustain a conviction. We know from Ken Delanian's reporting and other reporting that there was chaos within the Eastern District of Virginia about moving forward because that evidence wasn't there. Now,
ooh, maybe, just maybe, it was because James Comey's son-in-law was working there. I mean, that blew me away. I'm talking about like incestuous. My gosh, you have your own son-in-law planted in the Eastern District of Virginia. And so everybody's like nervous. You know, Eric had to get tossed. They put Lindsay in instead because Eric was a little too nervous. You know, his best buddy happens to be the son-in-law of James Comey. You understand, they're all trying to take care of themselves. They're in a CYA mode, and they take care of those, whether it's Republican or Democrat, on the inside. And now you get this outsider coming in, and he's busting everything wide open, and they don't know what to do. So instead, they're trying to turn it on its heels and say, oh, this is worse than Watergate. I'll tell you what's worse than Watergate. Tapping the phones of 8 U.S. sitting senators. Bob Woodward, you should know that.
So now bring in Bob Woodward, of course, a legendary reporter from the Washington Post, who's here to talk about his paperback version of the 2024 book, War, also about news of the day.
See, he's there to promote his book and make book sales.
I mean, Bob, there's so much here that we're juggling this morning. You know, you're in a unique vantage point. I remember seeing you at Trump Tower during the transition period in 2016 before the first term. You've spent a good bit of time with the president. You've recorded the president. I'm curious, we're balancing a lot of things right now, a possible breakthrough in Middle East peace, the prosecution.
Like some really good stuff. Okay, let's fast forward through Joe because he just can't. He loves to hear himself talk, right? Oh my God, he's still talking. He's still talking. He's still talking. Poor Woodward's like, okay, finally.
I think the theme really is if you have power, use it, and also abuse it. And literally, I mean, it really is a breakthrough, a corrupt breakthrough, to have the President of the United States ordering up criminal charges against people who are opponents, and that's exactly what's happened.
You changed journalism with your Watergate reporting. Compare what's going on now. I know you've been asked this question a good bit, but the facts have changed on the ground over the past 2 weeks. Compare what happened during Watergate, during Nixon's abuses, with the President of the United States telling the Attorney General, I want you to arrest these 3 people. They're guilty as hell.
Well, it's worse now, and of course, after 2 years of Watergate, Nixon resigned. We are now at a...
Okay, he thinks it's worse than Watergate. I've got news for him. What we went through with all of the attempts to take Donald Trump down, with all of the J6 spin, and now what we've learned about the FBI and Jack Smith getting the phone records and locations and who certain senators were talking to at various times. Trust me, that's way worse than Watergate.
Attorney General is telling us she is determined to make Trump pay, even if it means seizing this building or others long in the Trump portfolio.
You got it? It was all about making him pay. Well, what goes around comes around. What can we say, Tishy baby? You're going to be resigning. Your political career is over. You may, in fact, wind up in jail for some length of time. We'll see, I'll tell you. The grand jury found enough evidence there. And now, as I just told you, I'm seeing stuff too. I'm seeing stuff like this. I'm seeing stuff like a second home rider where she's actually saying it's going to be her second home. her second home as opposed to an investment property. It was an investment property, let's be honest. I mean, I have to qualify this, allegedly, an investment property. But, Daily Caller, thanks to them, they went out, they tried to scope out who was there. It wasn't Letitia. Letitia's not living there. And yet she said she had a primary residence and then she had a secondary residence, all in the state of Virginia. And she signed documentation saying this. On one hand, she said, just my power of attorney. That was a simple clerical mistake. Well, is this a clerical mistake as well? Was it a clerical mistake when you signed on as your dad's wife? I mean, enough with the clerical mistakes, because I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern where you say, I can get 0.8% of a lower mortgage if I just say it's this instead of that. And that's a problem, okay? That would land you in jail for up to 30 years. So Tishy, I'm sorry. You know what? You wanted to seize his assets? I have a feeling they're going to be seizing yours. They're going to be seizing yours really, really fast. And you know who's next. It's Adam Schiff. I'm getting to that because I got good source information I want to tell you about. But first, a word from Massa Chips here. Massa Chips. Did you know all chips and fries used to be cooked in tallow up until the 1990s when big corporations switched to cheap processed seed oils? Massa Chips is different. Today, seed oils make up 20% of the average American's daily calories, and recent studies have linked seed oils to metabolic health issues and inflammation in the body. So Massa decided to do something about it. They created a tasty, delicious tortilla chip with just 3 ingredients and no seed oils. They just have good stuff, real stuff. These chips don't avoid all the bads. They don't avoid all the bad stuff. They do avoid, I should say. They taste incredible too. Massa is crunchier, tastier, and sturdier than other chips. It doesn't break in your guac. That's pretty good, right? Snacking on Massa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Massa, you feel satisfied, light, energetic, with no crash, no bloat, no gross, sluggish feeling afterwards. And as an added bonus, it is that the beef tallow makes the chips much more satiating, so you don't feel yourself uncontrollably binging and still feeling hungry afterwards. So that's pretty cool, right? It's loved by tens of thousands of customers. You want to give it a try? Go to massachips.com, M-A-S-A chips.com /Regan. Use code Regan for 25% off your first order. That's massachips.com /Regan. Wow, we got more to talk about because guess what? More indictments coming. We got Adam Schiff in the hot seat right now. I've got this on pretty good sourcing, but you know what? You don't even have to go with my sourcing because in this administration, everything is out in the open. Just listen to one president, Donald J. Trump.
Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him. Now, let's see what happens. It's not up to me. It's not up to, I stay out of it purposely. But it's mortgage loan fraud. It's a big deal. He defrauded banks and insurance companies and the federal government. But it's very simple. It's mortgage loan fraud. And you're right. That's a lot of people to live in a one-bedroom apartment, right? But he put it down. But he has a lot of other things far worse than that. So, no, Adam Schiff, they have him 100% on mortgage fraud. Now, if it was anybody else in this room except you would have no problem. But anybody else in this room, you'd have a problem. I'd have a problem.
Oh yeah, well he's had all kinds of problems. Let's be honest. I mean, the fact that he's still standing, right? Not that he's still standing. He's now president of the United States 2.0, Trump 2.0. We're all loving it. Anyway, the point being that Adam Schiff is now in a whole lot of trouble because Adam Schiff allegedly said that he had a primary home in Virginia or Maryland, forgive me, while simultaneously having another primary home out in California. Of course, he was from California, so there's some discrepancy issues there. And, I'm sorry, bottom line, you can't lie on your mortgage application. I mean, isn't this what Letitia was trying to say with Donald Trump, saying he inflated the value of his Mar-a-Lago home because, she thinks it's worth just $18 million, $18 million, my you-know-what. I mean, again, I've told you before, I'll tell you again, we would have done a GoFundMe, all right? We would have raised the money to buy it ourselves, right? $18 million. Heck, Like that'd be a dream come true for any kind of real estate developer. Of course you would buy it. No, she doesn't know what it's worth. By the way, it's not worth anything until somebody actually sells it. So if he says it's worth X, unless Deutsche Bank is going to do due diligence and say, no, we don't think it's worth X, therefore we're not going to give you the loan, it's really none of Letitia James's business. But in the case of those loans that she was filling out, yeah, it is part of the FHFA's business, absolutely. And now, thus, part of the DOJ's business, part of Lindsay Halligan's business, Eastern Virginia Court's business, and hence we've got a criminal indictment by grand jury for one Letitia James with Adam Schiff next on the way. No matter how much they try and tell you, oh, this is him just trying to take it out on his political enemies, I'm just going to say, what the heck do you think was going to happen? After everything that you guys did, scumbags.
He can't do the job. He won't protect the public. He will misuse the resources of the Bureau. He will weaponize it against the president's political opponents rather than protecting the safety, the public safety of the American people.
I'm wearing orange for a reason. I just thought I'd try it out for Adam and Letitia's sake. I think I probably look better, but, you know, that's not a stretch for either of those two. Yeah. No, it's in honor of what's to come. I'm sorry, Adam. You know what? You're a freaking U.S. Senator. And before that, you were a U.S. Representative. You know, you actually have to live by some kind of standards. There was Donald Trump trying to actually make sure he did dot his I's and cross his T's. You went after him with everything you had. And you came up empty-handed. Well, now he's going after like low-hanging fruit. And he's coming back with a big, giant gallon of stuff. I mean, the Letitia thing we just learned moments ago is even worse than we thought. And now we're learning more and more about this guy who thought he could take Pam Bondi. Good luck. No match for her.
So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it. I won't play politics with any ongoing investigation.
So let me ask you another.
Like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you
Woo! Yes, thank you very much. Pam Bondi. Yeah, sticking it right back to him. Shifty Shift had his moment in the sun. Shifty Shift ran a couple of impeachment circuses. Shifty Shift wished he had been an actor. Yeah, that's what he wanted to be, apparently, an actor out in L.A. Then he wanted to be a producer, and somehow he had to settle for being a congressman and then getting to star in his own Shifty Shift show with the impeachment trials. But I'll tell you this. He's going down, likely for mortgage fraud, but possibly for much more. Because we're getting new information in right now about what exactly happened during Biden's FBI. And it's not pretty. And remember what my friend Dan said, maybe this is a couple of months ago on Fox and Friends. I want to take you back to this point in time because it's all coming to fruition. It is all coming out, ladies and gentlemen.
Of Jim Comey, because he cannot control himself and his emotions. He is a child. He is a big child. And let me tell you one more thing. Look at Jim Comey, who wants you to believe. Jim Comey taking a shot at the president. Oh, look at me. I'm such a victim. The president's going after me. He's making a ton of money on this book. The only person that got prosecuted was the president. Jim Comey, we're finding stuff even now. Wait till you read the stuff that's coming out.
Does he still have loyalists in the building? Because when I hear the FBI director saying, you guys are finding boxes that are hidden. Okay, how does that happen in the Bureau?
Well, we were there a couple of weeks, and luckily there were a lot of people up there who grabbed us by the arm the minute we came in and said, thank you for being here. You know, we need to talk. There are people there who are really horrified at what happened. And there was a room, and we found stuff, a lot of stuff.
A hidden room?
I wouldn't call it hidden, but hidden from us at least, and not mentioned to us. And then we found stuff in there, and a lot of it's from the Comey era, and we are working our damnedest right now to declassify. And just so you know, because I get the public, I totally understand people saying, well, do it now. The process is not all the information is ours to declassify. Some is other intelligence agencies. It's not, we literally can't do it. Once that gets done and that gets out there and you read some of the stuff we found that, by the way, was not processed through the normal procedure, digitizing it, putting in FBI records. We found it in bags hiding under Jim Comey's FBI. Quickly, you're going to be stunned.
The shells on the beach. Can you not talk to social?
So remember those shells on the beach? This was right after the shells on the beach that he actually came forward and said all this. And this is important, right? Because Comey had 86 Donald Trump. I mean, it was kind of really kind of cryptic. I mean, Donald Trump had been, let's just be really frank. Look, we just went through Charlie, okay? Donald Trump had been twice the target of assassination attempts, and one was nearly successful. So if you're the former head of the FBI, do you think you run around with taking a pretty shell picture of 86 Donald Trump? No, you don't. That's really cryptic and really, really poor taste and beyond bad. Beyond bad. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard was calling for him to be jailed right after that. I mean, she's got no use for the guy because she knew what he was up to. And now it's all coming out. So Dan was warning, and then Dan went again, maybe about 6 weeks ago, and said there's a whole bunch more coming. And he said Letitia James. He said Adam Schiff. He said James Comey, okay? So granted, I'm well-sourced, but this is out in the open. This is out in the open, and Adam Schiff is expected to be next as Bongino and Kash start clearing and cleaning house. Jack Smith, what the heck was that about? What would you be doing? We can't use the term wiretapping because PBS is going to get all mad. PBS did a big story in New York Times too. Oh, the right keeps saying it's wiretapping, and it's not wiretapping, it's tolling. Nobody uses the word tolling, okay? So let me explain to you the difference. If you're tolling someone's phone, it means you find out who they're talking to, how long they're talking to them, and where they're talking to them from, the location as well as the location of the other person, okay? It doesn't mean you're actually listening to the conversations, but you get all the other information that you're out there gathering. So this was what was put in place by someone at the FBI during J6. And then guess who decided to continue it? Jack Smith in his special investigation. And so here's the question. If you're intercepting and tracking the private communications of so many GOP senators, sitting U.S. senators, during and after the J6 probe, then did you get the proper clearance for that? Did you get the FISA warrant? Did you get the proper, I mean, there's a whole slew of things that you're actually supposed to get, but, I don't know if they did any of that. And so now some senators are saying, hey, Senator Kennedy's like, you know what? We're going to have to go after the phone companies. They're not going to like this very much. Pam Bondi, be on high alert because the phone companies may actually start coming after you because they're not going to want to be held liable because they turned over precious private information from sitting U.S. senators. Apparently, they just folded, kind of like, we saw a lot of companies fold back in the day, did we not? Tons of that going on. All right, so here's the memo that the FBI has released, and it has all the names of the senators that they targeted. Cynthia Loomis is on there. She's like, hey, I want to know what my civil rights are. Can I sue them on a civil level because this is not in any way, shape, or form okay what they were doing. Again, you got to have certain kinds of clearance. But this Arctic frost thing was going on where we don't know. It seems like they may have done some things that they shouldn't have. I mean, this is like COINTELPRO, which happened back under Hoover's FBI and continued right through the 60s until finally you had whistleblowers coming forward, like Dan was talking about. Dan said when they got to the FBI, people were like, oh, thank goodness, because there's been all this crazy stuff happening, and it's all in this room, right? Here you go. Here's all the documents. Here's what you need to know. So a few whistleblowers were coming forward, just like in COINTEL. They came forward Okay, and they exposed what our government was doing. Martin Luther King was one of the victims of that. So you need a court order, you need a subpoena, you need a FISA warrant, or you need an NSL, a National Patriot Letter, security letter under the USA Patriot Act. I don't know if they had any of this stuff. It's all coming forward right about now, and this is a big freaking deal.
We now know the secret's out. Everything Joe Biden told us, that it was a conspiracy to think his family was a conspiracy theory to think his family was doing anything wrong. His own government knew that his son was involved with a corrupt company, and it was hurting the American public and American policy.
Yeah, I mean, that was another part of it too. With the CIA having sent a memo saying, you know what, this is not a good idea to Hunter Biden. This is back in the Obama term, right? Hunter Biden is doing business with Burisma. The Ukrainians don't like it very much because Hunter Biden is working with a corrupt company, all while Joe Biden is telling them to stop being so corrupt. I mean, messed up, right? But I digress. Back to, for a moment, what's going on. Senator you got Grassley, you got Senator Johnson, you got Grassley. They want answers right now because it is not okay to learn that multiple sitting U.S. senators were being told, all right, they were getting their phones. We can't say wiretapped because PBS and the New York Times are going to accuse us of fake news. So let's use the proper terminology, told, or as Fox reported, this is probably the easiest way to say it, they had their communications intercepted. And by the way, they weren't the only ones, okay? They were targeting 92 different groups, all with conservative affiliation, grassroots efforts, including my friend Charlie Kirk's group at Turning Point. This is bonkers.
It's a major development. You're taking a look at a letter right there that was just sent to the FBI Director Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. What does it say? It says that Congress has obtained evidence that shows that the Biden White House was directly involved in trying to help start Jack Smith's investigation on the January 6th probe against President Trump. Specifically, that the White House counsel's office secretly obtained President Trump's and Vice President Mike Pence's former phones and giving them to the prosecutors, basically sicking the Justice Department on his future competitor, his future rival in the 2024 election so that they could look for dirt for possible crimes. There's a lot more coming in. There's a lot of other evidence as well of the White House involvement.
There's a lot more coming. I mean, I can tell you that as well. And my sources say plenty more coming. It's all coming out. That's the good news. I mean, I think about what would have happened if we weren't in this situation, if we didn't actually know. That would be a really bad position for all of us, would it not? But again, back to how could this possibly have occurred? I mean, this is the question that Kennedy's asking, Senator Kennedy, to Pam Bondi this week in the hearings. Not that anybody in the mainstream media reported on any of this. No, they want to tell you this is no big deal. It was just tolling of phones. You can't toll someone's phone. You can't interrupt private communications to figure out who Cynthia Loomis or Marsha Blackburn or Josh Hawley are talking to on any given day. You can't go around as Jack Smith or the federal government or the FBI and be trying to locate where all these people are. I mean, the vice president of the United States as well had his phone intercepted. This is bonkers, okay? Like, this is one side completely weaponizing itself against the other. And they wanted to do this all in the name of democracy to preserve the United States of America because after J6, well, they had to, right? I mean, if you looked at Alexandra Pelosi's footage, the daughter of Nancy, then yeah, you didn't have a choice. Anyway, let's go to Kennedy, who's making some really good points and some funny ones at that. He's pretty priceless.
But the phone company and the general counsel for the phone company, or companies, if there were more than one involved, could say, you know, this is serious as an aneurysm. This is serious as 4 heart attacks and a stroke. This is a sitting United States senator. So general counsel would likely advise the CEO, well, you need to file a motion to quash.
Senator, typically phone companies follow a subpoena from a United States attorney.
I know they do, but they don't have to.
They could challenge it, Senator.
Yeah. Or maybe they should have gone to Amazon and buy some testicles online.
I told you.
instead of just saying, sure, I'll just show you the phone records of a sitting United States senator on the basis of an administrative subpoena.
And yet, no one's covering this, right? Nobody is covering this, and he's not done.
Now, do you have copies of the subpoena applications?
Yes, Senator, I can't discuss anything regarding this.
You can't even tell me if you have copies?
I can't discuss any of this.
All right, when are you going to, General, when are you going to be able to discuss it?
I can't discuss whether there is or is not a pending investigation,
I understand,
Senator. This
but
was
let's
just
assume
brought to light
if
by
there is a
Director
pending investigation, I don't want this to get swept under the rug, okay?
No.
Because I think you're going to get pushed back from all quarters. I think the telecommunication companies are going to be all over you like a bad rash because they've got liability here.
Yep.
For just turning over these records.
Yep.
When they knew what was going on. I think some FBI agents may have some liability here.
I think so.
I think a special counsel might have some liability here.
Jack Smith, we're looking at you.
If I were your special counsel and you had appointed me and I wanted to get the records of a sitting United States senator, is that something you would expect me to tell you as Attorney General of the United States?
They better have.
Yeah.
And
do we know in this instance of the 8 sitting United States senators if they told Attorney General Garland?
Senator, I just learned about this very recently, as did Director Patel, and we cannot discuss the details. I don't know many of the details.
Well, maybe we ought to get Attorney General Garland here.
Yeah.
Do you know the special counsel told FBI Director Wray?
We need Director Wray there,
Is that
too.
something? Let me put it another way. If I were your special counsel and you were the director of the FBI and I'm trying to get the phone records of a sitting United States senator, did I mention it was a sitting United States senator? Is that something that you would expect me to tell you as director of the FBI?
Hell
In
yeah.
general, I would read the FBI would help.
Yeah. This is bonkers. Okay? And yet, again, no one's covering it except for the New York Times and PBS to say we're making something out of nothing because it wasn't wiretapping. They're like focusing on that word wiretapping. Well, let me tell you, it was interception, all right? Interception of private communications with sitting U.S. senators. Like, that's not okay. That's not cool. And if I'm Josh Hawley or I'm Marsha Blackburn or I'm Cynthia Loomis, I am livid.
Manner of things and the current president. I've also heard them said, and I just wrote it down because I wanted to be sure I heard it correctly. I've heard them say that Joe Biden never targeted his political enemies. Joe Biden never directed his attorney general to target his political opponents. That's interesting because I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone. Let's look at it. We've got a list. Tap my phone. Tapped Lindsey Graham's phone, tapped Marsha Blackburn's phone, tapped 5 other phones of United States senators. Gee, it sure looks like targeting political opponents to me, and yet I haven't heard a word from that side of the dais about any concern whatsoever. We've got nothing but concerns today, but no concern at all for a Justice Department that is tapping the phones of sitting United States senators because who knows why. They don't like them. They're members of the opposition party. They're Republicans. They're conservatives. You've seen this document, Attorney General Bondi. Well, what was going on here? Who ordered this? Who ordered the tapping of the phones of United States senators?
Senator Hawley, I cannot discuss the details of that right now for very good reason.
You're going to do a thorough investigation into this, I trust. Is that correct?
We will be looking at all aspects of this, and I have talked to Director Patel at length about this.
You're going to figure out who was involved in this, who signed off.
We need to know. We need to know because their civil rights were violated. There are various acts. We've talked about it, the Wiretap Act, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. You've got state privacy and eavesdropping laws. They can't do this. They did it anyway. Now, what authorization did they have? And why did everybody just fold and go along with it? Back to Kennedy's point. It's a good one, okay? There are rules and there are laws And they're there for a reason, to protect us against big government gone wild. Obama went wild. I mean, he got a little taste of it, right? Remember with his IRS targeting Tea Party groups? And then Biden comes along and they use J6 as the reason to be able to go and do anything and everything they want. Cancel culture on steroids. God help you if you weren't okay with a man having a baby. Pregnant man emoji, right? God help you if you weren't okay with a naturally born male competing against your daughter on the track team. Oh, you were the problem. If you showed up at a school board meeting saying, I really don't think it's appropriate to be having boys compete against girls in sports, well, whoa, you were the problem. If you were going to Mass in Latin, you were the problem. And if you were a sitting U.S. senator that supported Donald Trump, you were the problem and they had the right to go after you? No, they didn't. We're going to get to the bottom of this. I'm telling you, it is just the beginning. This is massive, okay? This is massive. This is historic. We are on the front lines of history and we are not stopping. Not for 1 minute. Here on the Trish Regan Show, it's all getting exposed. The CIA memo with Burisma, that's getting exposed as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. And here, as Solomon said, everything that you thought is all coming true. I mean, they tried to pull the wool over our eyes, whether it be on, oh, the Wuhan lab had nothing to do with the creation of COVID. It just came from a wet market. Yeah, right. Or masks, you know, they're great. You know, if you wear 2 or 3 of them, it's even better. Yeah, right. I mean, it was lie after lie. The Hunter Biden laptop that, was bought and paid for by the Russians and brought to you courtesy of Rudy Giuliani. Yeah, right. No, that was all wrong. That was all false. And they lied and they lied. And the 51X spooks and hacks got together and put a big letter in Politico and basically shut down the Twitter account, then Twitter, now X, thank goodness, of the New York Post. Because they were trying to control the narrative. Those days are over and it's all coming out.
Impeachment trials of our lifetime. So we now know the secret's out. Everything Joe Biden told us, that it was a conspiracy to think his family was, a conspiracy theory to think his family was doing anything wrong. His own government knew that his son was involved with a corrupt company, and it was hurting the American public and American policy.
Yeah, it was hurting because you know what? The Ukrainians were sitting there saying, why is Hunter Biden working for Burisma? And they didn't even know he was getting like $600,000 a year, right? Like that's unheard of. You don't get a board job for $600,000 a year. Like it doesn't exist. Except in Ukraine, apparently, when you're working for a shady energy company that wants to get a little pat on the back from Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and says, hey, we got this problem investigator that's like looking into us. Can you do something about it? And hey, Pops, he was too willing to apparently oblige.
Or loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time. Well, there's still, so they made some genuine.
You see, someone who Burisma wanted, because, you know, they had leverage. They had Hunter. This is bad. Like, this is really, really bad. And it turns out now, we have just learned that it was Biden who put the kibosh on the CIA memo that would have informed everybody about the concerns that the Ukraine actually had at the time. So there's Donald Trump out there just trying to do things the smart way, the normal way. And look where it gets him. I'll tell you, he's going to get that Nobel Peace Prize. He better get that Nobel Peace Prize. I realize they're giving it to Maria Corina Machado out of Venezuela. She's a placeholder, okay? Mark my words, because this peace deal is a biggie. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to Hillary Clinton's response. Oh my gosh, you guys got to see this because it's like she just ate a really bad lemon and she's looking at the camera. She's looking like that little Greta girl, She's going to have to say something nice about Trump. She manages sort of to get some kind of line out, but it's just really funny. But before I do, a quick shout out to another one of our sponsors here, Balance in Nature. I love this stuff and I love these guys because they help bring this show for free every day. Right here on the Trish Regan Show. You can get 35% off with my code TRISH, T-R-I-S-H. I think you know my name by now. Make sure to use the code because then I get credit, the show gets credit, and I'm happy to have them on board. And I want to know that they get a little love from my viewers. Anyway, go to balanceinnature.com. Check it out. They've got all kinds of stuff there. You can actually get a free fiber supplement right now. If you use my code word Trish, you can get free shipping and you get your money back guarantee. And what I love about it is if you turn over the bottle, you know what? You're going to recognize every ingredient on there. They've got 31 ingredients and it is what it is, right? So you don't have all these things. Typically when you look at a supplement, you're like, wait a second, huh? That's me. And this is what it is. So you can read it. Imagine that. Go check them out today. Balanceofnature.com. Use my name, T-R-I-S-H. Someone was joking about Trish the Dish the other day. That was actually my nickname when I was a kid. Yeah. Use Trish. Okay. 35% off. Balanceofnature.com. Nobel Peace Prize goes to not Donald Trump. At least not this time. Maria Corina Machado out of Venezuela got it. She got the honor. She's we know her well here on the Trish Regan Show. I know her. She's been instrumental in terms of trying to bring a coalition of opposition together against the communist dictator Nicolas Maduro there in Venezuela. And she's seeing some incremental success, and I think they wanted to reward her for that. But interestingly, she's no dummy. She immediately turned around and dedicated the award to one Donald Trump. So kind of a smart move. I'm telling you, he's still got a chance, though, because we got another one coming up. We got another one coming up, and I think that he's going to get it. And why? Because he went where no one could go before. I mean, Hillary Clinton was laughing about how, he thought he could be the architect of some kind of peace deal in the Middle East. Good luck with that. She was saying, well, look at this. He's bringing them home. That's the cover of the Jerusalem Post. Remember when Hillary said this?
If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
So, Hillary, what are you waiting for? I think you better get going because there's another one coming up, and he just did it. In fairness to, I don't love the Nobel Peace Prize Committee. And by the way, I sent out a tweet earlier today because I was livid. I was like, how could he not get this? And I've learned a little bit more since then. It turns out that the deadline for submissions was like basically 11 days into the Trump presidency, so that everything had to be in by January 31st. And obviously this peace deal, this peace accord just happened like within the last 24 hours, right? So that means he's still got a shot for the next round. But let's go to Hillary Clinton because she said she was going to nominate him, and she was asked about it by CBS today, and watching her deliver this answer is kind of funny because, like I said, it's like she's eating a lemon or something. She's like, and she has to say this and she has to give him credit. And it's really hard. It's really hard for Hillary Clinton, which makes it so much better.
Secretary Clinton, let me start with you. Does this diplomatic breakthrough make you hopeful about what's next?
Wait for it.
Nora, it does. It's a really significant first step, and I really commend President Trump and his administration, as well as Arab leaders in the region.
Does she not look like a bit of a hostage victim there? I mean, like eyes wide open, and I commend President Trump. You better commend him. I mean, hey, that's better than Obama. Obama put out a tweet. Obama didn't even have the grace or decency or dignity to say anything about Trump. He just, applauded the international community for this one. And I love it because Junior responded with, yeah, you're welcome. Okay, you're welcome. At least David Ignatius from the Washington Post admitted this was a big deal.
The deal that President Trump is announcing played a key part in negotiating is a significant change. This war was blocked for 2 years. President Biden, who preceded him, was unable to find a way to stop it. President Trump found that way by being tough on both sides. And he'll take a victory lap for sure over the next few days, but it's deserved. There's no way that I can see that this would have been done without Trump's pressure in the final hours.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you why Donald Trump was able to do this where others could not. He understood financial leverage. He had all those tariffs in place. Don't forget how much did the tariffs factor into things. And he held everyone accountable, okay? And he understood that everybody had something they needed. He basically just blew open the barn doors and had a completely different approach than anybody has ever had at the State Department in the last 50 some odd years. And guess what? It worked. It worked. I mean, even ABC News has to admit it. We played this in the short feed. Donald Trump getting phase one of a peace deal. He may go down in history as the greatest president ever, and ABC's forced to admit it.
Make no mistake, it looks like President Trump has actually pulled off something here that many presidents before him have failed to do.
Yeah, kind of amazing, right? I'll tell you, he's going to get it next time around. He should. The Nobel Peace Prize, and gosh darn it, if he doesn't, maybe Melania does. Melania Trump, amazing. She's working overtime to try and help the children of Ukraine, to help relocate them to their parents. She sent a letter back in August, do you remember this, to Vladimir Putin asking for his assistance and help in this. And he responded to her, and all of a sudden, you're seeing some thawing here. We had kind of hit a dead end in terms of negotiating with Putin. And in walks Melania Trump. Here's the former ambassador to Israel, Michael Oren, talking about it on Fox Today. Listen.
Melania Trump's announcement. This is huge for First Lady to be speaking with Vladimir Putin, who, by the way, under the Biden administration could not do a deal with our president and somehow has managed to do this backdoor deal with the First Lady of the United States.
You'd have to go back to Eleanor Roosevelt to find a First Lady who dealt with diplomacy and security issues like this. It's extraordinary. And I think there's a connection between what we just heard with Melania Trump and what's happened in Gaza. What this administration takes every conventional wisdom and breaks it over its knee. The conventional wisdom in the Middle East was you can't make peace unless you first make a Palestinian state. So Donald Trump comes along in 2020 and gets the Abraham Accords. The conventional wisdom in Gaza was first you have to have a ceasefire for a little while and you get some of the hostages back. He turns it around. No, we're going to get all the hostages back first, all at once. And then you're going to have a long ceasefire. Yep. And so this is the secret of the success of the administration in diplomacy, is that they just don't accept the conventional wisdoms and they break them over their knees.
Yeah.
Right, because you know what? Donald Trump comes from the business world, and you need somebody from the business world out there doing deals, making things happen, because they're not a bunch of politicians in the business world that basically have a zero-sum game. He realizes everybody's got a little something at stake. He finds their weak point and goes in for the kill. And you know what? It winds up that the world is a better place. Here's Melania Trump. I mean, this is extraordinary. She spoke today about her efforts. She has gotten a response from Vladimir Putin, and this is amazing.
A child's soul knows no borders, no flags. We must foster a future for our children, which is rich with potential, security, and complete with free will. A world where dreams will be realized rather than faded by war. Much has unfolded since President Putin received my letter last August. He responded in writing, signaling a willingness to engage with me directly and outlining details regarding the Ukrainian children residing in Russia.
It's amazing.
And since then, President
Putin has been working with Melania Trump to help these children be reunited with their families. And isn't that amazing? Amazing, 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 amazing. You know what else is amazing? We are getting word right now. Yes, indeed, more indictments are coming. I was telling you Adam Schiff, but I can tell you there is another outlet right now reporting something different, and I want to bring you this as it's just coming in right now. The team on the Trish Regan show, which is quite small. It's myself and two other people. Anyway, David's sending this along to me. MSNBC reports that John Bolton is to be indicted next. So look, I think they're all coming. But MSNBC reporting at this moment that it is going to be one John Bolton, the former head of the NSC, don't forget, who came out with a book, and the president was furious about it because there was special sort of classified intel that was in that book that he leaked, and he was told he couldn't do it. He did it anyway, and now, well, the chickens are coming home to roost. They're going after him for this. Watch.
Bolton, former national security advisor turned sharp critic of Donald Trump, is expected to be the subject of a complaint or even an indictment as early as next week. MSNBC, citing two sources, is reporting exclusively that the acting U.S. attorney in Maryland is moving forward quickly to seek criminal charges against Bolton. They reportedly relate to claims that he improperly kept classified national security information in his Maryland home. His home was searched in August. Bolton's lawyer insists that his client, John Bolton, did nothing improper. It is the second instance of targeting a prominent Trump critic.
Okay, so they're not happy about that. The targeting of a Trump critic. Bolton, yes, was a critic, but he wasn't a critic like Comey. He wasn't a critic like Letitia James. I actually think that this one is because he simply made off with some classified information, and that's not okay, right? Like, you can't do that. And so they're holding him responsible because they need to hold him responsible. I realize the media is getting like hot and bothered under the collar. Let's go to a CNN reporter who's reacting to news of Letitia, the expectation that Adam Schiff is next, and of course MSNBC reporting on John Bolton being in the queue for an indictment as early as next week.
Who's next here? Because there, of course, have been kind of lists out, and as Scott pointed out, the president freely talks about a lot of the people that he wants to go after. So here are some people that are under investigation right now. John Bolton, John Brennan, Lisa Cook, of course, Federal Reserve, Chris Krebs, Adam Schiff, Jack Smith, Miles Taylor. The public calls to investigate Reid Hoffman, Mark Milley, George Soros, Fani Willis, Chris Wray. This is quite an array of people. Scott Jennings, one person we've heard about is John Bolton, although it sounds like that investigation may have begun under the Biden administration.
Yeah, that started under Biden. And from what I read in the newspaper, they did find classified material, according to the reporting, in his house. And so I don't know if he...
Yeah, they did. That is what has been reported. Don't forget, they had the FBI there with that raid of his home just within the last couple of weeks. And again, it goes back to the apparently sharing of classified information. I have a feeling, I don't know this for sure, but I can totally see this happening, where he was maybe submitting some information to a book publisher and transferring this via email. Apparently he took laborious notes. Like, the book actually got panned in the New York Times. They were like, this is some boring stuff. And boy, he comes off kind of mean. Because he's like all psyched that we're going to go, kill someone in the Middle East. And then it doesn't happen because Donald Trump realizes there's going to be too many people dead. And he doesn't even want his enemies dead. Okay. He's very much human life, let's respect human life. And so Bolton apparently in the book is kind of bummed out. And the New York Times picks up on that. So it was poorly written, but he took these laborious notes apparently all the time. And the thinking is that he was then sending some of those notes again, this is my speculation on it. Like, how is it that he was transferring this classified information? And then on top of that, putting it in a book. I'll tell you, the president really had no use for him. He was pretty darn frustrated with him all along. He was apparently barred at one point from publishing this. And yet, what happened? He went ahead and did it anyway. He got one judge to go along with it after previously it had been vetoed, I guess, by the Intelligence Department. So he's one that was being looked at not by Trump, okay, let's be really clear, but by Biden's team. So he was already being subjected to this, and I suspect that he really is indeed going to be in some additional trouble. I want to take you back to Donald Trump talking about this. Actually, I believe this was on Fox, and I want you to hear what he had to say about one John Bolton. Okay, here we go.
John Bolton came out and said that doesn't work with country to country. What's your reaction?
Look, this is a guy with no personality. All he wanted to do is drop bombs on everybody. He was one of the many people that got us into the war in the Middle East, which was a big mistake. I said to him, let me ask you, do you think, recently, I said, what did you think? He said, I think we made the right decision. I said, you lost me there. It was the worst decision in the history of our country. I know you may disagree with that. Worst? Well, now you might agree. At the time, you would have, felt differently. But also, the Libyan model, you know what that means, right? Look it up. One of the dumbest things ever said, I think it was said on Deface the Nation, the Libyan model. He said the Libyan model, that set us back. You have no idea. John Bolton was a stupid guy, and he was a guy with no heart. And he also had a statement that he would lie whenever he had to. He has that statement. It's a well-known statement. And I fired him. And I didn't think it was a big deal. And I wasn't around him very much. But what he did do is he took classified information and he published it during a presidency. It's not, it's one thing to write a book after, during. And I believe that he's a criminal. And I believe, frankly, he should go to jail for that.
Judge?
And he may now. So that was like a throwback in time. That was back to the Trump administration after Bolton had left. So a bit of a flashback, but here we are at this moment in time. He was being investigated by the Biden administration. You had Trump's FBI then raid the home, find allegedly these documents. So he had taken some classified information. The other report being that he had emailed classified information and then, of course, published some classified information. So he's certainly facing some challenges, shall we say. But you know what? I got to say, hey, there are consequences in life. And as much as people are like worried about, oh gosh, this is retribution, the reality is like, you can't have one side doing that and then the other side like plays dead, like rolls over and plays dead. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. And so we need accountability. We need someone standing up to this so that, mutual assured destruction, right? It doesn't happen again. Maybe if they know, hey, you try this, we're going to retaliate with that. Maybe then they don't do it. I mean, maybe we double down and here we are living in a world where it's tit for tat and it's just going to go on and on and on. At some point, somebody's got to call a truce. I get it. But I don't think we are in a position at this moment in time to call that truce. What do you think? Hey, have you looked at the thing on my computer there, 76 Research? 76research.com, use code word $. Go there and check it out. I know the market's lower today. We got some ideas for you. We just published another note that I want to tell you about in the 76 report. You can sign up for my newsletter there, 76research.com. It's $1 a month. Some very good, very important information that you need to, and some good storytelling, because who doesn't like a good story? So go check it out, 76research.com today. Use code word $. Guess what? Baby, we are back. Columbus Day. Colombo. Back on the calendar. I mean, it only took an executive order. How do you like this? Donald Trump reminding us Columbus was kind of a big deal. Like, we wouldn't be here, right? Without him.
In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day. Okay. Yes. press that broke out in applause. Can you believe that? I've never seen that happen before. The press actually broke out in applause. Good. Columbus Day. We're back. Columbus Day, we're back. Italians. Okay. We love the Italians. Okay.
Sì, è vero. We do love the Italians. And Columbus, I mean, I know he wasn't perfect, but you know what? You got to look at through the lens of history. Like, what was the world at that time? Really and truly, right? I mean, hey, you got to admire a guy when the entire universe is telling you the world is flat and you think, hey, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm going to get out on my boat and I'm going to go try and discover this so-called new world. And hey, you know what? It's a lesson in having a goal. Like maybe you don't achieve your goal. Maybe you achieve a different goal, but you're motivated to do something. You're motivated to take a big chance. That was Christopher Columbus, who took a really big chance and got the backing of the Queen of Spain to go sail and find this new world, thinking he was finding India, instead coming across some of the islands in the Caribbean and discovering North America. I mean, wow. I know everybody wants to hate on him. Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm sorry. You know what? You can't hate on him. You got to understand how to look at history through the lens of what was relevant at the time. You don't destroy history. You don't say he's a bad guy because he was like everybody else at the time. You actually try and appreciate what he was that he did accomplish. And again, we wouldn't have the Americas without Christopher Columbus. So I'm sorry, get over it. We're sick of you guys rewriting history. That's not happening anymore. No more at all. Hey, I know a lot of you have been asking me to do the membership chat, so I'm thinking about doing that this weekend. We'll see. I'll just pop on and talk to you guys. It's good to see. David Lorenzo, thank you for all your kind comments. Cat Crazy as well. I know Don is like, hey, you guys better like this. We got a lot of likes. Look at that. That's amazing. Amazing. 7,851 likes at this point. Gosh, I think we're going to make it to 10,000 before the night is over. And thank you, Peace of My Mind. You know I will unravel this entire web of lies and deceit, and we are getting to the bottom of it. Listen, as for Tishy Baby, you know what happened to the Wisconsin judge? She was forced to resign. She was forced to resign because you couldn't have a judge that was being investigated for her alleged crimes. Well, guess what? Letitia James, you're going to be forced to resign too. Adam Schiff, you're coming up. And John Bolton, here we learn this afternoon, right here on the Trish Regan Show, he is likely next in the queue to be indicted. There's a lot of cleaning up that has to happen. We're draining the swamp. Good to have you here. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back over the weekend. And certainly on Columbus Day. See you then.